What up, y'all? It's your boy, OSGOE, One Sir Grove. I'm just out here alien hunting a little bit, man. You know, you got ghost hunters and shit, alien hunters, UFO hunters, treasure hunters. You feel me? Thank you for tuning in. If this is your first time or multiple times you've tuned in, man, if you're a fan of the show, if you support the show, we, on behalf of 495, man, we appreciate you. So yeah, I'm just thinking, by the way, for all of those observers, celebrators of Easter, if you celebrate Easter, man, happy Easter to you. What happened in Sri Lanka is fucking dirty shit, man. This shit is just fucking wrong, dude. So, one of the things I want to just briefly touch upon is counterterrorism. It's an interesting thing because the world governments collectively claim. Think about it like this. Let me just very rapidly put you into perspective here with me. So imagine 2001 and imagine the terrorist attack that happened in America. Whoever was involved, whatever you believe, whatever you think. Okay, so some people think that it was an inside job. Well, let's suppose for a moment that it was an inside job. Okay, so some people think that there were no actual terrorists of a foreign nature. They think that it's some type of U.S. government psyop.
When my granny was 95, she did Facebook ads just to stay alive. When my granny was 96, her webinar converted to 12.
Shut the fuck up, dude. It's some pop-up shit. That ain't even fucking kosher, dude. Stay the fuck off my shit, dude. That's some pop-up shit, dude. What the fuck? That ain't even fucking cool. So, the point is some people, they think that, that the U.S. government in some way did some type of ultra psyop and made it appear as if there were these terrorists, right, of a foreign-born origin in nature who perpetrated 9/11. And they legitimately, sincerely believe that the perpetrators, this is not to minimize or downplay anything, they think that it was all just not for real. They think that the planes that allegedly, supposedly crashed into different U.S. infrastructure, they believe that that's all psychological. It's not real. It's some type of illusion. It's some type of grand illusion. Some type of architecture by design, that it was fucking fabricated and totally just holographically perpetuated, right? That's what they believe. So you have that camp. They're nah, dude, we see what we're being told and being shown. And we believe that despite the story officially, the official story, that is the story that's being shown in the news, on the news, in the media, that there were these planes that were commandeered by these Saudi terrorists, most of them, many of them, but that shit ain't real. It's not even fucking real. It's some very, very dark shit where that's just what we were led to believe and think, and they were in no way, shape, or form even close to being these religious extremists, right? You have people who believe that. There's the other camp. They believe similarly, kind of sort of the same thing. They believe, this other camp, we'll say camp 2, they believe that the images, the imagery that was shown, broadcast, was not U.S. government per se, psyop, but that it's some type of non-terrestrial like activity, kind of like the movie like They Live, like I've often talked about, like Rowdy Piper, where basically Americans in the world were shown this picture of, and when I say picture, I mean like not static, but like picture frame, like motion, some type of like Hollywood movie, like frame book, story picture frame, like motion picture projection of some type of holographic, like holography, whereby in which these so-called hijackers, again, supposedly, allegedly, Saudi hijackers, mostly, a lot of them, they carried out this attack, but, and again, this is Camp 2 that believes this, but that those hijackers weren't even, not just fake and not even real, and just like some type of like illustration, if you will, some type of like movie, like special effects wizardry, that it was some type of in U.S. government like operated psyop, carried out, conducted psychological operation, Psywar, Northwoods, but that it's some type of like extraterrestrial like entity that wanted for humans to believe that that's what was happening, yet it was some type of like advanced civilization teaching the world, America and allies and people around the globe of Earth, some type of like lesson, like, hey, you might not know why this is, you may not perhaps understand why this is happening to you, but we're showing you by destroying these buildings and having these humans that are innocent in the context of what you believe to be innocent. These passengers and all these people on these planes that were commandeered by what you believe to be like terrorists, we're showing you this because we can and we will, and it's not real. We're fucking aliens from whatever star system, whatever dimension, whatever hyperspace quadrant of space-time. I'm just saying, there's a camp that believes this. But we're aliens, and we did this shit for a reason which you may not understand. And yeah, none of it is fucking real. It's not even fucking real. And there is some evidence, at least some people have said that there is some evidence, that if you listen to the tapes, if you listen to the recordings, if you listen to not so much the black box, but if you listen to the audio that was supposedly recorded of people making telephone calls from the passenger spaces, that there was no way, one, to have possibly made calls from the various altitudes where the planes had supposedly been. There's just no scientific way that people could call from those altitudes. And Japan, even third-party independently verified, supposedly, allegedly, that was in fact impossible, which lends credence to this theory of the Camp 2. So some people are like believing that like the whole thing is like alien, like psyop, and that there were no actual humanoids or human beings commandeering those planes, but the aliens want for people to believe, like Camp 1, same kind of sort of thing, but it's not the U.S. government that did it. Aliens fucking did it for whatever fucking reason, whether diabolical or, I mean, dude, we're talking about human life on Earth being destroyed in terms of those who died in those different various instances that equate to and amount to the attack on 9/11. So that's Camp 2. Camp 2's like, yo, it wasn't even the US government. It wasn't even a US government psyop. It wasn't a US government black, unacknowledged, deep black, unacknowledged psyop, war, psychological operation. It was all alien shit. It was all projected into our minds. These people who knows where they went, like in terms of the passengers and the so-called hijackers, but they were basically like whisked away to somewhere, maybe vaporized or evaporated or fucking taken to some other fucking star system or moon base or who knows where, and that it was aliens. I'm just saying, as a reporter, journalist once, or Grovo is GOE, there are people who genuinely, truly, sincerely believe that. I'm just saying. That's, look, if you work in counterintelligence, if you're a scientist, even if you're not a scientist, if you're just a subject matter expert, and you have to examine and analyze and look at what are said to be facts, pieces of information, if you have to follow the trail of information, if you're like Sherlock Holmes, if you're a detective, if you're an analyst, if you're an observer, casual, if you're just a journalist writing for some newspaper, magazine, some radio fucking station, some television news broadcast, offline, online, if you're just someone who wants to fucking know the truth, the deeper truth, reality, you can't just take everything or anything really that is presented to you at face value, and you have to think outside the box. You have to wonder to yourself, like, okay, here's the official story. What's the unofficial story? Why is 9/11 blacked out? Like, why is it redacted? Like, why is this, like, if America was attacked, if there was an attack on America, okay, and America is supposed to be a country of a country of the people, by the people, for the people, in other words, governed by Americans, like citizens from all socioeconomic backgrounds, the whole full spectrum, whole gamut, right? You have to look at it in the way that I'm analyzing, dissecting it now. You have to say to yourself, who the fuck is behind it? If it's not human, if it's inhuman, if it's something else, if it's something from some other fucking world where, like, what would be the objective? What would be the aim? What would be the cause, or the, like, you have to look at cause and effect. Like, are they trying to, like, crop circles? It's like some crop circles are obviously hoaxes. They're obvious hoaxes. And then you see the Harvard experiment, research, investigation, exploratory project, where it's like you've got so many hours, or like an hour, or so many minutes or seconds, right? You have a certain amount of time, and you have to recreate these crop circles. Okay. There are people that have made fake-ass crop circles pretending that they were alien crop circles. And then you have crop circles that were made that are so elaborate that even with a team of a Harvard graduate scientists who have worked for, say, like, for example, CIA, NSA, IARPA, DARPA, the Russian intelligence services, SVR, GRU, CPB, the Politburo, the Chinese government, People's Republic of China, like, whoever, the Canadians, the Australians, Echelon, Japan, like, whoever, fucking African scientists, fucking whoever, German scientists, and they look at this and they're like, oh, that crop circle was created in 1 hour and there are traces of radiation. Like, what type of satanic or other type of cult has access to chemical elements in this range, in this type and category? Like, how would they do this crop circle, which we barely did as scientists ourselves? Like, we really, honestly, on camera, didn't truly fucking 100% finish it within an hour's time, but we barely pulled it off. And then it's like all sprinkled with radiation, a type of radioactive material that's only found in, like, deep space. Like, how could a satanic cult do that? Like, or any kind of cult, like any kind of group or organization on Earth. And that's when you're like, when you do the math, when you do the link analysis, when you look, you don't have to be a mathematician. You don't have to be like Nikola Tesla. He wasn't a mathematician per se. He could see numbers and ideas and concepts in a certain kind of sort of way. And so mathematicians, people who study math around the clock or, on occasion recreationally, however they're defined, construed as mathematicians by trade, by craft, by hobby. Okay, when you look at Nikola Tesla, he's one of the greatest minds of all time, like Michelangelo and Leonardo da Vinci and the different philosophers like Aristotle and like Socrates and Plato and people like this, right? So when you look at math, right, you don't have to necessarily know the rigors of math. You don't have to know always how like functions work, modular arithmetic and discrete math and non-discrete math and calculus like Sir Isaac Newton and stochastic methods and Euler and Poisson and like Lagrange and like Maxwell and all these other people. You don't have to fucking know like all of the intricacies and all of the different types of like methods to solve like problems and come up with solutions and looking at math expressions, because sometimes in math you'll have an expression is solved. It's already been solved. So it's not a problem. It's something that means something. You look at it and you're like, is this a problem? And then your colleagues or yourself, you're like, no, it's not a problem. It's a statement. It's a statement. It states something. It means something. It represents something in the real world and or something that is abstract. It's an abstraction, right? So that's how Nikola Tesla operated. Like, he didn't have to do by hand or by way of computer or some type of electronic contrivance. He didn't have to do anything like manually. He could just see concepts like, okay, there's one, there's zero, zero's undefined. Okay, there's one thing, there's a unit, there's like multiple things. Okay, you can subtract, multiply, add, and divide. Or subtract, multiply, divide, and add. You can transpose it, you can move it around, you can make it some type of so you can make it whatever you want. It could be whatever the fuck you want. And so, you can make it combinatorial. You could be combinatorial mathematics. And so, it can be an endless, infinite number of permutations and whatever it is that however you want to model it. You can model math a lot of times. People can say, look, 1 + 1 is 2. But in binary, it's something different, okay? And that's a truth, that's a fact, that's reality, that's the consensus, that's what all of our colleagues and peers and luminaries and people before us and after us will say. Okay, we all agree on that, or most of us do, 99% going down, right? Step outside that, and then other people are like, yo, check it out. That's what you thought. That's what you say. That's what 99% of people believe, that the world was flat. But there's another way to view it, through another lens, other lenses, different ways. You can see it in these terms. You can see these terms in a different light. Okay, like Kryptos, like Jim Sanborn, the sculptor and artist, designer, architect who did Kryptos. That's at CIA, and it's a puzzle that, as of this recording, is still largely unsolved. Maybe someone already solved all of the different sections of it, because every time someone ever did in the private sector, in the public, you'll find out later that someone at NSA, CIA, some agency where there are mathematicians and statisticians and problem solvers and computer scientists and cryptologists, cryptographers, you'll see that people already in advance saw these things. But keep in mind that when they did, their work is classified. So they can't say, aha, look, I solved the problem, because they're under non-disclosure agreement. They can't reveal that they cracked some fucking code, because any code, any type of like art that they do, because it's all considered intellectual property of the U.S. government, they can't go on record and say, hey, I solved this fucking code system, I cracked this code, I did this, I did that, because, if they did, then it would reveal certain information. So they have to be off record with it. They have to be unacknowledged. They have to be behind the scenes, knowing that they solved some of the greatest conundrums, some of the greatest, supposedly sometimes unsolvable problems, because it's illegal for them to come forward and say openly, not only did I, or that person solve one of these problems that has come to a solution, but they just cannot do that, because if they did, then people would ask them, they would say, okay, well, if it's true, then show us how you did it. Show us, prove to us how you did it. If you solve this, show us, prove to us, prove it, show it, prove it. In which case, that person, that group, those individuals, that individual would have to, reveal certain cryptanalytic methods. They'd say, well, I used so many different supercomputers of this type, of this category, that were strung together, and using these blocks of code, these software programs, these systems, these algorithms, these maths, these different types of, these categories of systems use this. Well, those systems are classified at that level. The systems that the NSA cryptologists use, those systems, those computer systems are classified, and they can't reveal the names of those computer programs, those software programs, those mathematics, because there are certain types of mathematics that are classified. There is a whole field of math that involves classified mathematics. So, case in point, is that you have code breakers, you have code makers, you have code makers and code breakers. You have cryptography, you have cryptology. Sometimes the lines blur. It depends on who you're talking to. So, going back to the different camps, talking about 9/11, let's go to Camp 3, okay? So we've already discussed Camp 1. We've already discussed Camp 2. Let's look at Camp 3. Okay, so looking back as Camp 3 on Camp 1 and 2, some people who may agree with Camp 2, and they're like, yo, check it out. So let's say aliens did this shit. Let's just fucking go out on a limb, because we have no idea. We're paid. We're endowed. We have money to think as a think tank. Okay, as a think tank, as a government organization, private sector, whatever sector, government, commercial, this and that, casual observer, like someone that just fiddles around with codes, boxes, that is like black boxes, that is like computer systems, non-computer systems on paper. Like if someone's doing math by hand, that is like code breaking, code making and code breaking by hand, and or uses some type of electronic device, computer, something to calculate, a fucking abacus, whatever. Okay. Point is, if somebody is just kind of looking at the data and thinking, can't believe the official story. There's gotta be, like, we're objective, we're indifferent at this point, we're impartial. We gotta look at all angles that other people perhaps haven't even considered, contemplated. Like, how did this shit happen? Okay, maybe there were aliens. I mean, look, dude, if you look at the towers, right? One of the things that I've noticed is that when you look at the imagery, when you look at what's shown on TV, right? In my view, and I've always thought this, like when I started to review, like, the data in terms of like the approach, the angles, the angular momentum, the velocity, the speed, the direction, the trajectory, the physics behind it, when you take into account anomalies and things that aren't supposed to happen, that could happen, that might happen, that, are supposedly could never happen. I see on video, that is camera, like with regard to the actual footage, and I'm not talking about simulations, there appears to be some type of like waveform that like permeates the screen. It's almost imperceptible, but it looks like there's a plane approaching, and just before the plane makes contact, there's a waveform that goes out like in advance of the plane, the so-called plane, coming into contact with the building. Some type of like directed energy weapon. Now, call me crazy, call me absurd, call me fucking out of line, out of pocket, call me fucking disrespectful, and say I'm unpatriotic, or however you want to like color it and frame it and phrase it and characterize it, illustrate it. I am saying to you, I have reviewed those images thousands of fucking times over and over and over again. There looks like some type of like field distortion, some type of like waveform that hits the fucking building. And what plays to this is, bear with me, hold on. What I see and what I hear there are individuals on record who will say to you they believe that there was controlled detonation prior to planes actually impacting the building. So, there is evidence, empirical data, that shows and demonstrates beyond any kind of reasonable doubt, and I'm not a truther, I'm just an analyst, scientist, someone who plays with numbers from sun up to sundown. I analyze. Am I a mathematician? I mean, I study fucking math around the clock. Look, and it's not just math. It's not just the Roman numeral like sense of it all, numerical interpretation. Everything is left open to interpretation in law, in science, in the humanities, the canon of this and that. It's all interpretation. It's all philosophy. What I see as a thinker, observer, philosopher, as an analyst, there are far too many people who have said on record that they were there, and before any official report emerged that there was a collapse of buildings, that they heard some type of explosion, multiple explosions, and then subsequently saw some type of collapse or some type of like devastation of the buildings. So for clarity, to be clear, what I'm saying is that people have said on record who were there at the impact zones that before any planes supposedly planes touched the buildings, that there was some type of explosive activity. And I am saying to you, if you listened and you listened closely and carefully, that what I see on camera that a lot of people haven't talked about, there appeared to be some evidence, okay? It was evidenced by, in my view, some type of some pre-impact, like waveform that went out. It's very minute. It's so minuscule. It's fucking barely imperceptible. I didn't catch it the first or second or third or fourth or fifth time. It's like years down the road when I was watching it on some video in slow motion, and then I went back and I was like, whoa, hold on, hold the fuck on, hold up. It looks like a wave distortion field that goes out, hits the building, and then it's only then that you see this plane this is not to minimize, take away, downplay in any way, shape, or form what happened. But it looks like after that field of energy, which if you look at the fucking footage, the video, you'll see a whoop, just it's more like whoop, like it's almost not there. Like it's like if you like I said, it took years to figure it out and see what I'm seeing. I'm saying to you, there looks like there was some type of fucking goddamn fucking directed energy weapon. Is our U.S. government capable of using directed energy weapons? Yes, we have them, we possess them, we have them in our arsenal, and we have used them not just experimentally, we've used them on the battlefield, okay? Would an advanced civilization beyond that of our own have the capability? Duh, no shit, Sherlock, okay? So, let's get to Camp 3. So Camp 3 looks at that and says, was it the U.S. government? Was it fucking aliens? Was it a combination of the U.S. government, terrestrial, on the surface appearing to be an earthly kind of sort of government in collaboration, cahoots with perhaps like a Nazi Germany, America? I don't know, Hitler, Third Reich kind of esque kind of thing going on, like controlling shit, puppet strings behind the scenes, like we're gonna control this shit, right? Where there are these real humanoids, these real like actors, and in advance of a collision impact, we're going to like just fucking, because we know the planes won't actually do it, okay? The planes won't actually collapse the buildings. So to give the illusion that the planes will, we're going to like just like zip, like a tick, like right, just like you don't even fucking see it or hear it or know it, but boom, then the plane hits. But even with advanced alien fucking technology, there's that glitch of space-time where it's not 100% like, but it's beyond human fucking perception. So in Camp 3, you have a combination of, well, it wasn't solely exclusively alien and it wasn't solely exclusively humans. Aliens are saying, yo, we've got real fucking humanoid actors to play in this theater that is sick. In our minds, it's sick. In their minds, it might just be some fucking normal shit or whatever. Maybe they're trying to teach us a lesson. I don't know. It's fucking warped. Pun intended. Like, warp field goes out, plane hits. It looks like the planes caused it. Okay? But again, the voices on the plane, the altitudes, the different levels of ascent and descent. When you look at the calls, when you listen to them, when you see where they were supposedly placed, it is said to be scientifically impossible. Science, impossible. Math, statistics, fucking physics, to make those motherfucking goddamn calls to friends and family members. And if you listen, and I did, and I work in sound and engineering and audio, and I can hear certain things, because I had fucking sinus problems when I was a kid. I had my adenoids taken out, and I met someone who's a line technician, and he is deaf, and he can hear sub-audible tones. I can hear certain shit that most people can't, and that's a fucking fact. And I'm saying to you, when you listen to the recordings, I don't give a fuck what any debunker says. Dude, I am saying to you, the theory that someone said, they're not human. Dude. Look, man. Look. I am simply saying to you, it is impossible based on what I know from the math, from the crowd. Look at crowd sourcing of the intel. I've been involved in projects where we look at crowds. What does the crowd know? Look at the Akashic Records. What did Edgar Casey know? What did Ingo Swann fucking know? How do these psychic remote viewers like Joseph McMoneagle, how do they leave their bodies, go out, astral project, and pick up on information from distant, remote fucking futures? And I'm saying that it is redundant. It's the same thing, semantic, syntactically. I'm saying as an analyst, they are believed to be by our global world governments, China, Russia, America included, notwithstanding. Dude, including but not limited to triple blind method under concrete, granite, rock, fucking lead, whatever, to I'm talking about subterranean depths, like miles underground. To shield is what I was thinking and meant to say. If you're behind shields of lead, granite, solid rock, fucking sediment, earth, stone, brick, whatever, and it's a nuclear bunker on some steroids type shit, okay, where you're fucking shielded up at the maximum strength of the calculus of whatever our beyond state-of-the-art technology is, because we have nuclear bunkers that can withstand some shit that most people in mainstream society have no fucking idea, like the building in Manhattan, by the way, okay? So what I'm saying is that, like, below ground, psychics like Ingo Swann and Joseph McMoneagle and like Russell Targ, who ran the project for SRI, the Stanford project, in concert with CIA. If you're below ground some miles or a mile or a half a mile, and you're surrounded, that is encircled in, encased in, entombed in fucking shields of to keep electromagnetic energy signals, fields of energy out. And they're like, okay, what can you see 5,000 fucking miles away? And they're like, oh, this is the information. Here are the codes. I can see everybody in the room. There are these photons. Photons will permeate a certain space when an observer is observing remotely. Okay, so when we're talking about remote anomalous cognition, the Chinese know this, the Russians know this, the Australians, the Japanese, Americas, the Europeans, the Asians, global world governments with militaries and intelligence services, academia, intelligentsia know this. If you have a psychic that is remote viewer, buried miles underground, shielded from electromagnetic intercept and interference, that remote viewer human soul, mind, body can leave our known space of every dimension, go beyond, outside, and see distant futures. We're talking about like other times that haven't even happened yet. 9/11 was remote viewed. There was a CIA remote viewer who saw 9/11 before it happened. It wasn't 100% clear, but it's clear now that it was 9/11, and it was known, and the FBI knew, and the CIA knew. So the point is, listen to what I'm saying here. So, since we know that humans have the capability like Ingo Swann had, to observe Mars and cities on Mars, and the moon and cities on the moon, and Jupiter, and to see rings around Jupiter and shit that like NASA didn't see and confirm until decades, like 30 fucking years down the road. Okay, and it was confirmed like this remote viewer at the classified level of the Real World Defense Intelligence Agency, that is NSA, Fort George Meade, Maryland, Stargate, Real World, Stargate, hyperspace surveillance fucking level. The shit that this remote viewer observed 30 years ago is confirmed by the US, the Russians, America, China, Russia, Australia, Canada, Japan, African countries, you name it. Yo, this remote viewer saw some shit, okay, in advance, and it's confirmed by academia. 2/3 of all humans don't just believe in extraterrestrial advanced intelligence. 2/3 of all humans know this shit is true. It's just that 2/3 of all humans are up against this fucking AI computer system of a global government, contrast to the contrary, saying, oh, we're still looking for like intelligent bacteria on different rocks in our fucking star. Man, I saw this video on fucking YouTube, dude, and they were talking about it was talking about it was saying how basically at last count, if you look at the metrics, and I don't know how accurate this is or whatever, but it's like 48 billion light years across our fucking known space. Okay, that's 48 billion light years, 2 trillion galaxies, dude. Okay, dude. 2 trillion galaxies. Do the math. Okay. So look. So 48 billion light years means you're traveling at or near the speed of light for 48 billion years nonstop. Just velocity, just 48 billion years. Okay. That's just our known shit. Then you have, according to what we believe is true, not just one Milky Way galaxy. You have 2 trillion known galaxies. 2 fucking trillion. Okay, so for those who are just not really like paying attention and are just kind of like passive and they're just kind of like, oh, I hear what you're saying, dude, like kind of like our bills. No, listen, yeah, I am, but like, no, but listen, dude. Okay, imagine one Milky Way galaxy. Okay, is it vast? Is there a lot in our galaxy we don't even know? It's said that we know more about what's in space around us than what we actually know is beneath the earth and in the oceans beneath us. Okay, we know more about what's in space based on probes and exploratory missions and spacecrafts and fucking robot probes like rovers and shit, okay, and astronauts and cosmonauts. We know more about what's in space than we know about what's beneath us. At least that's the story that we're fucking broadcasting, right? That we're told, right? Obviously, that shit is classified and it's fucking fake because we probably know hella shit about what's beneath the earth and what's in the oceans. But we pretend like we know more about what's in space, right? Okay. Given that, we don't know too much about like what's the moon? Is it artificial? What's the far side of the moon versus, okay, so there's no real dark side. We were told that the space is cold, but it's not really cold. It's really more of like a vacuum. Okay, so that's the moon. And then there's Jupiter. Okay, yeah, Ingo Swann, he found the rings before NASA did by leaving his body, and he saw it in the Martian, like, cities and stuff like that. Okay, we're still only talking like about 3 or 4 things out of the entire Milky Way fucking galaxy. This one galaxy. Imagine 2 Milky Way galaxies. Imagine 5 Milky Way galaxies. Imagine a dozen Milky Way galaxies. Imagine 100 Milky Way galaxies. Imagine 10,000 Milky Way. Okay, when we hit 10,000, this shit just blurred. Okay, it doesn't even make sense. Now we're talking about the multiverse. Okay, imagine 1 million Milky Way galaxies. Imagine 10 million Milky Way galaxies. Imagine 1 billion Milky Way galaxies. Imagine 100 billion Milky Way galaxies. Imagine 100 billion Milky Way fucking galaxies. That would be 1 trillion. Now, imagine double all that shit. That's 2 fucking trillion. And that's what we know about. And you already know whatever we know, that's not even the limit in the calculus of it all. It goes even beyond that. So, Earth, man, come on, let's all be fucking real, dude. Let's all be real. If 2/3 of us already know concretely, definitively, conclusively, that there has been intelligent life beyond Earth for zillions of eons. Whatever has existed before this Earth with these like 10,000 years of recorded history, suppose, whatever, to get sketchy and foggy and right? Okay. If you want to talk about simulation theory and shit like that, okay, yeah. Yeah. To create a simulation, not a problem for advanced civilizations. Is this some type of like alien simulation? I mean, this is what the CIA asks. This is what the Russian intelligence services, SVR, and all of their different directorates like Directorate K asks, X asks, T, S, R, and Q asks. This is what NASA and DARPA asks. This is what the Canadian Security Intelligence Services asks. This is what anybody who actually does any type of like math asks. Carl Sagan asks. Neil deGrasse asks. Any fucking buddy. Michio Kaku asks. Ronald Millett asks. Look, dude. When we're talking about Earth and the Milky Way galaxy, when we're talking about ancient Egypt, dude, we're talking about a pin tick. Tick. Okay? That's our time frame. 290 million years, which I often reference, that ain't shit compared to the life of the cosmos. Okay? People talk about the Big Bang. Dude, the Big Bang did not create 2 trillion galaxies that we know about. Okay? It's not like there was a Big Bang and then like, okay, now there are 2 trillion There was Stephen Hawking, the late Stephen Hawking. Come on, he was even talking about time before the so-called Big Bang. So what I'm saying is this, look, man, let's look at 9/11. The farmers, the observers on the ground, people who were approached by media and people with cameras who were like, "Did you see those planes wreck?" They're like, "What are you talking about? Like that plane? What? I'm a farmer. Like I'm a landowner. Like what? No, there's no wreck here." And like, "No, there was just a big wreck. And did you see it?" And they're like, "No, like we said, we're landowners and no plane. No, shit, what the fuck are you talking? Is this a joke? Am I on candid camera?" Dude, there was no plane wreckage. There was like a few little things on the ground. That's not a plane wreck. People that are propulsion experts, people who are jet aircraft experts, people that are mechanical engineers, people who worked in U.S. intelligence, government, Air Force, military, Army, Navy, ships, fucking electronic intercept, electro-optical sensing systems, dude, people that are electronics engineers, people that are just like laypersons. The fucking so-called crashes of the planes, dude, I'm not even a truther. I'm just saying to you that people in the military who are experts said it's not fucking real, okay? It can't fucking be the way that it was sold and told by our government. And if our country was attacked, if it was absolutely, truly attacked in the way that it happened, why is it classified? Even after all the redactions, even after all the motherfucking shit that went down in terms of investigations and things of this nature, right? Even after all of the congressional inquiries and all of the Senate oversight fucking intelligence, inquiries and investigations and committees that have convened and reconvened and like concluded and all this kind of shit. You see, man, I'm an actual fucking scientist. I look at the scientific method and I apply certain methods and methodology. Okay, I'm a lot like Nikola Tesla. Like, I don't have to know everything about fucking supersymmetric mathematics. I don't have to know all the rigors of all different types of maths. No, it's pretty clear. It's pretty fucking simple. When you look at it, dude, and you put it into perspective, like I just put it into perspective for all of y'all, shit don't add up. I'm not a truther. What's a truther? What the fuck is a truther? Someone who's trying to get to the truth? I mean, dude, it's already been demonstrated to y'all, to all of y'all, to the American people and our allies, our allies, people around the world, allies and non-allies, that it didn't fucking happen the way the media fucking portrayed it as happening and depicted. And now listen, go back and listen to all the different observers. Go back and listen to all the analysts. Do I sound crazy at this point? Do I sound out of my mind? Do I sound absurd? Do I sound like I'm saying? No, I went through the whole wreckage, the whole account, the whole motherfucking thing with the fine-tooth comb, with laser data encryption. I looked at every iota, every piece, every little pixel, every fractal, every motherfucking twist and turn of all this shit, every atom, and I fucking microscopically, laser interferometrically fucking investigated all the fucking data, just like anybody would at any fucking US and or foreign spy intelligence service agency, dude. And you can see it's crystal fucking clear. Okay? If we were attacked on 9/11, why wouldn't you have the full fucking truth to see the whole document? Because it's not all declassified. To this day, the attack on 9/11 is classified, was classified. There are sections of it that, what if whoever's 36 levels and beyond above the president of America does know what happened. Why wouldn't those entities, which is us, it's our government, why wouldn't that entity and I'm saying up, but it's us. Why wouldn't we want for mainstream society to know what happened? Oh, you see, do you think it's because if we said, you motherfuckers in Saudi Arabia, you did it, and because we're saying you did it, that's going to affect oil prices around the world? Fuck no, dude. It doesn't have anything to do with that. It doesn't have any fucking thing to do with that. It doesn't have anything to do with that, dude. Because people already knew that somehow Saudi Arabia nationals were complicit. They were complicit. Yeah, but that doesn't mean that they were the ones that fucking that orchestrated it. Okay, because if you want to talk about who really truly crafted it, who really truly engineered it, who really truly fucking put it together, who really truly fucking mapped it out with schematics and blueprints and diagrams and wireframe fucking analyses down to the Planck length, like we can do this shit, humans won't be able to perceive this shit. Come on, dude, that shit is a fucking computer motherfucking program. It should be obvious. It's fucking AI shit, dude. It's fucking advanced intel. Like, dude, really? Really? Does what I'm saying right now sound wacky? Does it sound fucking zany? You really think some motherfucking hijackers, dude, hopped on a plane? None of the shit it was said that they did makes any sense. It really doesn't in the real world of real fucking science. None of it does, dude. And it doesn't fucking add up. But the media that's controlled by something, some entity tells you, oh, it makes total fucking sense. And the people who believe otherwise, they're crazy. They're loony. They're delusional. They're conspiracy theorists. It's all just a conspiracy theory. Yeah, we're all just a little crazy down here, are we not? Yeah, so, yeah, yeah.